It's October, it's Friday the 13th, so we put together a loose list of lethal legends from Midway monsters to Steeltown slayers. These are the scariest players in NFL history. You might want to leave the lights on for this one. Concrete Chuck Bednarik is one of the hardest hitting tacklers in NFL history. He was tough on both offense and defense, as one of the league's last two-way players. When your famous hit is simply titled The Hit, you know it was devastating. This hit on New York Giants running back Frank Gifford is widely considered the hardest tackle and one of the most notable plays in NFL history. Chuck came from an era where you received an awesome nickname, not because it sounded cool. This dude was concrete through and through. You do not want to find yourself standing across from our 12th scariest player in NFL history. At number 11, a modern player with a throwback style, Steelers linebacker James Harrison was an undrafted free agent. Apparently this dude who made offenses lose sleep wasn't one of the 250 best players out of college. To everyone's mistake and everyone's horror, the Steelers signed Harrison, who became an absolute menace. He was on the small side for an NFL player, but what he lacked in size, he made up for in will. His toughness and brutality were infectious, as he was part of a tremendous Steelers defense. He always found himself in the right place at the right time. We'd like to think of him as the ghost of quarterback's future. Not often do you find a terrifying player on offense. Our number 10 was exactly that. Adrian Peterson was a star coming out of college, and he looked like a man among boys. To be fair, he kinda was. Peterson was drafted by the Minnesota Vikings, who put the franchise on his shoulders. He was a massive, powerful running back with the agility of someone half his size. He ran with a purpose. He was looking to inflict pain on defenders. His size and ability wore defenses down. You could see their will leaving their bodies. As each game progressed, this guy was a man among men and struck fear into defenses for his entire career. And at number 9, Jack Youngblood is a Frankenstein of a man who played defensive end for the then Los Angeles Rams. Youngblood played for 14 seasons during the 70s and 80s. He's famous for his unrelenting power and unyielding toughness. He played through the 1979 playoffs, including the Super Bowl, with a fractured left fibula. He also played in the Pro Bowl a week later. An optional game, especially for an injured player. Not many humans can reach that level of toughness. He was dubbed the John Wayne of football. For our number 8, 49ers safety Ronnie Lott. Ronnie was a formidable foe for any offense. As with our previous entry, toughness is key. Ronnie had his left pinky finger amputated during the 1985 season after it was crushed during a game. He chose to have it amputated rather than a bone graft, which would have caused him to miss a game. Ronnie was a 6-foot, 200-pound wrecking ball for the 49ers. If Lott wasn't catching the ball, the receiver wasn't either. The litany of bone-crushing hits made any offense fear him. His stellar play helped the 49ers win 4 Super Bowls. Number 7, the name says it all. Mean Joe Greene of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Off the field, while Greene is a massive man, he's known as a nice guy. But between the lines, run for your life. During Greene's tenure, the Steelers' defense was dubbed the Steel Curtain. Joe front and center led the Steelers to 4 Super Bowl victories in a 6-year span. He had offenses avoiding him like the plague, but that didn't stop Greene. He would crash through blockers and demolish anyone who had the ball. There were no immovable objects for this unstoppable force. Greene tormented offenses for his 12-year career, leading to his Hall of Fame induction. Jack Lambert is our number 6 entry. Lambert was the starting middle linebacker for 4 Super Bowl winning teams during an 11-year career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lambert stood at 6'4", weighing over 220 pounds, considered to be the prototypical linebacker. A daunting defender who prided himself on his hard hits and intimidation. Similar to many entries on this list, Lambert's reputation preceded him. He was in your head before the play started. After the play, you'd wish you were on his side. Lambert, with his size and speed, would pound the opponent into submission. Fatigue hits hard, almost as hard as Lambert. Cool nickname? Check. Terrifying defensive player? Check. Our number 5 entry is Dick Night Train Lane. As a rookie in 1952, Lane led the NFL in interceptions with 14. This is still the NFL record to this day. Not only was Lane a lockdown defender, he was also known as a ferocious tackler. Lane was known for tackling opposing players by the head and neck, leaving them motionless. You couldn't throw his way, you couldn't run his way. He literally knocked the plays out of Giants QB Y.A. Tittle's head. He was hit so hard he couldn't remember the playbook until after halftime. Lane, of course, was inducted into the Hall of Fame, but he also has a prime spot in the Hall of Pain. Seattle Seahawks defense, dubbed the Legion of Boom, had an enforcer. The entire defense was ferocious, but they all paled in comparison to the strong safety Chancellor. Unbelievably, Chancellor fell to the 5th round of the NFL draft. This was a gift. Chancellor, seemingly too large for his position, would make any offensive player regret catching the ball in his vicinity. If he couldn't intercept the pass, he'd intercept your soul. With a brutal barrage of knockout hits, he was a standout on an all-time great defense. The opposition would feel Cam's presence in every game, and like a ghost, haunting them for the weeks that follow. If you turn on a Baltimore Ravens game in the mid-2000s, you saw number 52 punishing the opposition. Michael Myers and Jason Voorhees bow their heads to our number 3 entry, Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis. Intimidation is the first word that comes to mind. Lewis was a violent tackler and a vicious defender. He's the large, passionate man who would dismantle the opposition. Every tackle had a purpose, a painful purpose. Not only did he seem like an untamed predator, but he was also a brilliant football player. 2 Super Bowl victories and a Hall of Fame induction solidified him as one of the greatest players of all time. His instincts, combined with his ferocity, made him one of the most feared men to ever don a helmet. You weren't in the argument for greatest defensive player to ever live without a fearsome reputation. Our number 2 entry is none other than New York Giants linebacker Lawrence Taylor. His relentlessness and insane athleticism made him an unstoppable force and a tall task for opposing blockers. Entire offenses would need to focus on one man, and even that wasn't enough to stop Taylor. He was as savage as he was effective. LT was the only linebacker ever named MVP. His fiery passion led him to the Hall of Fame. At number 1, we head to Chicago. This is the NFL's version of a boy named Sue. Just don't tell him I said that. Dick Butkus was a linebacker for the Chicago Bears, a team dubbed the Monsters of the Midway. Dick was the original monster. He was dubbed a maniac. Grown men feared him, the best of the best. When he hit opposing backs, they would be talking out their ear holes. He had an aura and a mystique. Before the ball was snapped, he already had you beat. Then the ball was snapped and he literally had you beat. Not only did he not want you to gain a yard, he didn't want you to gain an inch. Like college linebacking legend Bobby Boucher, he saw red and the opponent saw dirt. Did you like our list? Did we miss any entries? Let us know in the comments below. If you like what you heard and you'd like to see more, check out the next video here.